Is this new, the Zoom problems?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you've been doing this for years, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm gonna,
Righty.
So, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening, good evening.
yeah.
So, again, we will start with a short mindful breathing exercise, watching your breath mindfully for a few moments. Once your mind is settled down and quiet, then we can try to think and contemplate. As long as our mind is controlled by as long as our mind is under the control of self-centeredness, selfish attitude, and self-grasping ignorance, we will always find some problem, no matter what. We will always find some reason to complain and not to be happy. Therefore, to find more peace and joy in our heart, in our mind, we need to reduce and overcome such selfish attitude, the self-centeredness, and self-grasping ignorance. Less selfish attitude, less self-grasping ignorance, less unhappy mind, less complaint, less problem. And in order to reduce and overcome such self-centeredness and self-grasping ignorance, we need to cultivate the opposite attitude of the mind that can destroy those harmful negative emotions. And that means cultivating and fully developing true love, compassion, bodhicitta mind to destroy the selfish attitude. And we need to develop the wisdom to realize the reality of the truth in order to destroy the self-grasping ignorance. And to be able to cultivate and fully develop the wisdom and the method of the loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind, we need to contemplate, meditate, and practice correctly, continuously, all the time. And in order to meditate, contemplate correctly, we need to continue to learn and study. For that very reason, I'm going to listen and engage in discussions, questions and answers, and contemplate. In whatever I find helpful and beneficial, that I'm going to apply in and I will integrate in my everyday life as much as possible. May our act of coming here to listen and to engage in discussion, reflection, contemplations, may all of this become cause and condition to accomplish our highest potential, the fully awakened state. So we can be greatest help and benefit to all other sentient beings. Okay.
For opening prayers, we'll do the praise to Shakyamuni Buddha 3 times in English. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the sister from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world,
human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings.
To
You, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shashak clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shashka clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. Short mandala offering, once in English. This ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniryate Yami. On the next page, Refuge and Bodhicitta, once in English, twice in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I am enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Chodam Soji Chodnala Jamchu Bardu Dagni Kyapsuchi Dagi Chonyengi Pe Sonamgi Drola Penchir Sangye Druharsho Sangye Chodam Soji Chodnala Jamchu Bardu Dagni Kyapsuchi Daji Chonyenji Pesonamgi Drola Penchir Sangye Druharsho.
Can you unmute oneself?
I turned my phone off so it wouldn't interfere.
So again, hello, good evening. So from today we are going to start on one particular short text. I hope everyone has. Did everyone get it?
Now, are there any more?
Can you pass?
Are there any more? I didn't get to 20 copies.
Well, there's not 20 people.
I'm not sure where the rest are.
But go ahead and use this.
He already has one. John, do you-
Oh,
Okay, everybody else has?
Yeah, if everyone has,
there they
it's
are.
does
Oh, they were there.
everyone need? So we'll be following this particular text for a few weeks, and as you see the title, the 3 principal aspects of the path to enlightenment. And it is a text that is composed by one of the Tibetan master named Lama Tsongkhapa, around 15th century. And he is the founder of one particular Buddhist traditions that we follow, Ganden or Gelug traditions. And so we'll be kind of So as the title suggests, there are three principal practice, you can say, and those are renunciations and awakening mind of bodhicitta and the wisdom, those three, and we'll go through, there will come more details as we go through. So one is renunciations, and one is the awakening mind of enlightenment, what we call bodhicitta, and the wisdom. And it is just as the title suggests, it's a principle or the essence or the very heart. Those three are the very heart or very essence or very principle teachings and practice of the Buddhism. Whether you follow the vehicle of Sutra or whether you follow the vehicle of Vajrayana, the two main traditions, either tradition you follow, but these three are the essence of such practice. So without the renunciations, without the pure renunciations, even you try to engage in something virtuous, it wouldn't be cause of enlightenment or nirvana. It will be cause for just a samsaric pleasure and happiness, not really cause of liberations. Without the awakening and bodhicitta, no matter how much virtues you engage in, the positive actions that you engage into, again, they do not become cause of fully enlightened or fully awakened state. They can become cause of temporary happiness within the samsara. They can become cause of individual liberation, but it cannot become cause of fully awakened state. And without the wisdom, then, again, whatever virtues you engage into, whatever positive action and virtue you engage into, you wouldn't be able to cut the root of the samsara. Still, it becomes cause of samsara. And therefore, in order to achieve our highest potential, the fully awakened state, fully enlightened state, then we need to cultivate those three things: pure renunciations, and awakening mind of bodhicitta, and the wisdom. If we cannot develop all three of them, then we cannot be able to achieve our highest potential fully awakened state. And without achieving our highest potential fully awakened state, we cannot be greatest help and benefit to others. It doesn't mean we cannot be help to others. It doesn't mean we cannot be benefit to others. But whatever help, benefit we try to do to others will be very limited. Very limited. But when you become fully awakened or fully enlightened through your practice, contemplation, meditations, and when you become fully enlightened, awakened by having actualized all these three principal aspects of path, then not only you can be help to others, but you can be greatest help, not just a temporary help, greatest help. And not only for few, but to each and every sentient beings. So when you do try to help others, it becomes unconditional help. And when you do try to help others, it becomes unbiased, unconditional, and according to the best suited, the help that you are trying to do that suits that person's. So then, so that is the three principal aspects of the path. And also those three qualities, the renunciation, the awakening mind, bodhicitta, and the wisdom, realizing the ultimate truth, they all become cause of our inner peace and happiness. When you are able to actualize any of those qualities, any of those paths, whether it's the renunciation, pure or whether it's the bodhicitta mind, whether it's the wisdom, if you can actualize those mind within yourself, realization within yourself, for sure you will find much more peace in your life, in your heart, regardless of what the external conditions are. Whether we find inner peace or whether we struggles, more than external, it depends on internal conditions. It depends on internal conditions. Externally, you might have a lot of challenges. Externally, you might have a lot of challenges, but if you have one of those realization, one of those three principal aspects of path, you will be for sure find much more peace in your mind, in your heart, and in your life. Okay, so that is going through that is the title is set. Okay, the three principal aspects of the path, and the path to what? Path to enlightenment, path to ultimate happiness. And and happiness in Buddhism, when you describe happiness, we are not describing some kind of sense pleasure, sometimes sensory pleasures. That is pleasure. Pleasure and happiness are very different. In Buddhism, happiness is mental, mental state. That is like kind of inner peace, inner peace. You can have sensory pleasure, but in your mind, in your heart, you can be very disturbed. On others, on sensory level, on physical level, you might have pain, physical pain, but your mind be very, very calm, peaceful, and happy. And so your mind can be very peaceful. Your mind can be very peaceful and happy and joyful. So so then if we go to the actual, it starts with the author paying homage to the gurus, holy lamas or holy gurus. I bow down to the holy lamas. So the author is starting, with paying homage and bowing down to his spiritual gurus or lamas. And he paid homage to that because all the spiritual realization that he has achieved, all the spiritual experiences, all the spiritual realization that he has been able to realize and achieve, and which he is able to share now with others through writing, teachings, and so forth, is due to his spiritual mentors or the lamas or the gurus. So therefore he remembered their kindness. their kindness and their contributions. And with that understanding of his spiritual mentor or the teachers or gurus' contributions in inspiring and directing in the right path, and through that he is able to achieve those spiritual realization, and so therefore he pay homage to all the direct gurus and indirect lineage gurus. So it's remembering their gratitude, remembering their kindness, and through remembering their kindness and feeling gratitude and then paying homage, bowing down and paying respect. And also this is not only he do that, it is also to teach us to remember the kindness. There are so many people in our life that have helped us, that has support us, that has been kind to us in so many different ways at different stages of our life, and never forgetting their support, their help, their kindness, and feeling the gratitude of that, feeling the kindness of that, and through that, paying respect for them for that. So from a spiritual point of view, especially, that the guru or the mentor or the lamas become very important. As one of the Katamba masters, Gishi Potowa, as he said, he said, even in the things that we can learn by just observing, like gardening, cooking, things that we can learn by observing, even in those, to really be very good at that, you have to really learn from someone who knows how to cook very well. You have to learn from someone who knows how to garden very well, what kind of plant in what seasons and how much water and all of those. You need someone. And so he says, here we are talking about, when we talk about the path, spiritual journey, we are talking about something that we cannot see by our eyes. We can learn by observing with just our eyes. And so therefore we definitely need someone who has that experience, who has already been on that path himself or herself, and who have the knowledge and who have the experience to show us the path, to guide us, to mentor us. And so therefore the spiritual mentor or the teachers or the guru become very important, and that being very important, that's the way also he paid respect and bow down at the very beginning. So then next I will explain as well as I can. So the author is saying, when he said, I will explain as much as I can, in one way he is being very humble, as though that, as much as he can, meaning that indirectly that he might not know everything, but he will try to explain as much as he can, being kind of humble in that way, even though he is great scholar, great masters, great practitioners. And also it means that he is going to explain in a very short. As you can see, the text is very short, very short, and main essence of the topics, without going so much in details, but focusing on the essence of that. Hmm? So what is he going to explain? So then, essential meaning of all the congruous scriptures. So what is the essential meaning of all the congruous scriptures? And those are the three principal aspects of the path: the renunciations, the bodhicitta mind, the awakening mind bodhicitta, and the wisdom. And those three are the essential meaning of all the congruous scripture, means all the Buddha's teachings. Buddha had gave so much teachings over 45 years after he became fully enlightened. And 45 years he gave so much teachings. Just the translations that I've been able to translate in Tibetan from the original Indian language, there's more than 100 volumes of that. So there's a lot, But even though there's so much teachings in those scriptures, but if you try to come to the essence, what is the main essence of those teachings? What is the essence of those teachings? And so the essence, the essential meaning of those teachings boil down to those three: renunciations, the awakening mind of bodhicitta, and wisdom. The path praised by the excellent congruous children. The excellent congruous children are like the saint or the bodhisattvas, the bodhisattvas. And so, what is the path? What is the path that has been praised very highly by those bodhisattvas? The Buddha's children, so children of the conqueror, the bodhisattvas. The bodhisattvas are those who have dedicated their life for the benefit of others, who have given up the selfish attitude, the self-centeredness, and who have totally dedicated their life service to the well-being of others. Those who have developed bodhicitta, and on the basis of that bodhicitta mind, who have dedicated their life in that, those are the bodhisattvas. So, what is the path that is highly praised by such bodhisattvas, great beings? And that path is, again, the three principal aspects of the path: the renunciation, the bodhicitta mind, and the wisdom. So those three are the essential meanings of all the Buddha teaching, and those three are the one highly praised by such great beings such as the bodhisattvas. And the port, or the gateway, or the port for the fortunate wishing liberations, And what is the gateway? What is the gateway or the port that lead to fully enlightened liberations for those who are fortunate and who wish to achieve liberation? And those are again, three principal aspects: the renunciations, the awakening mind of the bodhicitta, and the wisdom. Those are the gateway. That's the gateway or the port to enter towards the liberations for those who wish liberation from all the suffering of samsara and its causes. So therefore, here the author is saying, I will try to explain those three. Okay? Those three. The renunciations, and awakening mind of bodhicitta, and the wisdom, which are the gateway to the liberations, which are highly praised by the Bodhisattvas, and which are the essential meaning of all the Buddha's teaching, which are the very heart of the Buddha's teachings. Which is the very life force of the Buddha's teachings. I will try to explain those three as much as I can. And next, then the author is advising to those who are reading or listening or learning, studying, to listen and study with the right intention and motivations. Whoever are not attached to the pleasure of transcends existence. So he is saying, for those who are on spiritual path, who are on true spiritual path, and who are not so grasping and attached to transcend, the transcend existence or samsaric pleasure, samsaric experience. If you are too attached, and if you are too clinging and grasping to the ordinary samsaric pleasure experiences, then you cannot be on true spiritual path. It's hard to be on true spiritual path. To be on true spiritual path, meaning that you give up having too much clinging, grasping, attachment to the ordinary, the samsaric experience and pleasures and objects. So for those who are not attached to that, and whoever strive to make leisure and fortune worthwhile, and who are interested and who put effort to make their life meaningful, worthwhile, meaningful. If you want to make your life meaningful, worthwhile, with a high purpose, and whoever are inclined to the path pleasing the conqueror Buddha, and if you have the inclination, interest, and aspirations toward the path pleasing the conqueror Buddhas, those fortunate ones should listen with a clear mind. And so here he's asking to listen with a clear mind. And listening with a clear mind, meaning free from the threefold of listening incorrectly and with the right sixth state of mind. And basically, your mind not being biased. When you listen and when you study and you learn, your mind being unbiased is one thing. Your mind's biased, then due to that biasness, you cannot really study well enough. And it's the same, like if you are listening to a news with a biased mind, you don't hear correctly. Your mind is already making things. Even they are providing true information, you don't believe them. Because your mind is biased. On the other hand, you are biased to some others' information. Even they are not giving correct information, you might take it as truth because they said it, because your mind is biased that. So to get to the truth, and to really learn what the reality is, what the truth is, when you are studying, including when you're studying the Dharma, your mind has to be unbiased. Your mind has to be unbiased, open, clear. And also, your mind has to be, you have to use your mind with the reasoning and logics. To be able to use, that is the beauty of our minds, our brain, our mind, that we have this ability to reason, logic, whether it is right or wrong, what he says is right or wrong, whether what is said in this text is right or wrong, to be able to use your reasoning mind. So if you use reasoning mind, even the teacher says something mistaken, you know it is mistaken. What he said means you don't follow it, so you don't get misguided, misled. Even the text, the scripture says something wrong, you will be able to understand that is, how can that be? If that is the case, then how it goes against this reasoning, this logic, how can that be? So you don't get misled easily, misguided easily. And so your mind has to have that kind of clarity. That's what it means when you listen and when you study. That is the mind we should have. Also here, when it says, whoever are not attached to the pleasure of dancing existing, with that then it shows the renunciations. When you have renunciations mind, when you have the realization of renunciations, then you are not attached to the samsaric pleasure, ordinary samsaric pleasure. You are not attached to that. You don't have any clinging, grasping attached to those who have developed that renunciations. It will come later. Renunciations. A lot of time when people hear this word renunciation, a lot of time people always relate that with external things, meaning giving up all these external objects, things. When we talk renunciation in Buddhism, we are not talking about giving up the external things, giving up something internal. And what is giving up internal things? Is giving up the attachments. Giving up the attachment, that's what renunciation is. Giving up attachments. If you are not attached, the object is not the problem. House is not the problem. The car is not the problem. The position is not the problems. The fame is not the problems. But when you get attached to them, then it becomes problem. When you get attached to the position, then it becomes problem. When you get attached to the fame, then it becomes problem. When you get attached to the material things, then it becomes problems. So therefore the problem is not the external object itself, it's the attachment, clinging, grasping to them, and having too strong craving to them. That is the problem. That is the problem. That is the cause of suffering. So renunciation is giving up such attachments. So when you have no more attachment to, let's say, material world, material things, material wealth, if you have, you are happy. Even you don't have, you are also happy. You can be happy and you enjoy as long as it's there. Also, when it is not there, you can still be happy. Because you are not so attached to that, you don't miss them, you feel miserable because you don't have that. But when you have attachment, and if you don't have that, then you start to miss it, then you start to feel something missing and feel miserable. So therefore, as we mentioned before, you know, if you have the pure renunciations, when you are able to let go of attachments, then you can find inner peace, content, satisfactions. If we don't have that renunciation, if we have attachments, then you always feel dissatisfied. If you have one, you feel you need two, so you are dissatisfied, you have only one, you don't have two. When you are two, then you feel again you need four. And since you don't have four, again you started not being satisfied and happy. And that is where you never come to a point you feel content and satisfied no matter how much you have, because of that attachment. But when you are able to let go of that attachment, if you have four, you are fine, happy. If you have two, you are fine and happy. If you have just one, fine and happy. And even you don't have one, still you can be satisfied and happy too. So that is where whoever are not attached to the pleasure of transcendent existence. So if you have renunciation, then someone who have developed such renunciation, then they will not be attached to that. So here that explains the renunciations. Whoever start to make leisure and fortune worthwhile, and that here that is explaining the awakening mind of Bodhicitta. So with the leisure and fortune worldwide means precious human life, whoever make effort to make their precious human life meaningful, worldwhile, or worldwhile or meaningful, or another word that was I was trying to think, it came and it slipped away. So how can we make, what makes our life meaningful worldwide? With a high purpose is when we make effort to help and benefit others out of true loving kindness, compassion, and the awakening mind of Bodhicitta. That when you are able to, out of your true loving kindness, compassion, Bodhicitta mind, out of that, when you are able to serve others, when you are able to help others, when you are able to benefit others, that makes the precious human life most meaningful, most worldwide, most precious. Otherwise, out of selfish attitude, self-centeredness is all about achieving your own happiness, your own well-being, and whole your life is chasing up to achieve that, then your life is nothing so worthwhile, your life is nothing so meaningful, your life is nothing so precious, Every ordinary being does that. Even the animals do that. So what makes your life, a human life, what makes human life something precious, worthwhile, meaningful, is that when they are out of true love, compassion, Bodhicitta mind, when they are able to be service to others unconditionally. So with that, so when you have that Bodhicitta mind, the awakening mind of Bodhicitta, then that individual will be able to start, put a lot of effort to make their life meaningful by being service to others, out of such loving kindness, compassion, Bodhicitta mind. So with that line, then it explains the awakening mind of Bodhicitta. And then next, whoever are inclined to the path pleasing the concupiscence, and that explains the third line of that, explain the wisdom. And because the wisdom, is the path or the practice, that please all the Buddhas, because they see that wisdom is the key to destroy all afflictive emotions, which are the source of our problem and sufferings. So the whole purpose of Buddha's giving the teachings, what is the purpose of the Buddha's giving the teachings? After his enlightenment, why did he share his teachings, his wisdom, his experiences, what he had learned, experienced through such teaching? Why did he share that over 45 years? Because with his own direct experience, before that, he also, even though he was born in a royal family, the only crown prince was going to be the king, even he had all these luxuries, all the physical wealth and everything externally, his mind was not happy. His mind was not happy. His mind was disturbed, dissatisfied. And so he was in search for the path that can give him true inner peace, the ultimate peace. And through practice, meditation, then when he achieved enlightenment, then he was able to overcome all these afflictive or negative emotions that disturb your mind, make you unhappy, miserables, such as anger, resentment, grudges, greediness, miserliness, attachments, jealousy, such as pride, not positive pride but negative, delusional pride, ignorance, and so forth. And so he was able to overcome all of that. How did he overcome that? By cultivating the wisdom, realizing the ultimate truth. So he had, with his own practice, once he was able to develop that wisdom, then he was able to cut all these afflictive emotions permanently from the root of it, and found true, everlasting, true, ultimate happiness. So he wanted to share that. He wanted to share how to do that, because we all want to find that everlasting happiness. We all want to find that everlasting happiness. And so therefore, with his own direct experience, he shared how to achieve that everlasting true happiness, and how to achieve, and the way to do it by actualizing that wisdom, realizing the ultimate truth. And so Buddha is extremely pleased when he's able to share that path, and he is extremely pleased when someone is able to develop that wisdom within themselves. Then he sees now that persons have started on the path to end their suffering and cause of suffering. It's like a parent who cares so much of the child, and maybe they see if they have good education, maybe they can have a better life, better job. And when the child does so well on the education and other aspects of the life, the parent becomes so happy and so pleased. Similarly, that is how the Buddhas feel when the sentient beings are able to actualize that wisdom within themselves, because he sees that now they are on the right path to achieve that ultimate true happiness is on the path. And so therefore That is why it is that wisdom is called the path pleasing the conqueror, the Buddhas. And so again here he is explaining that I'm going to explain again those 3 points, renunciations, the awakening mind, and the wisdom. And those who have interest in that, please listen carefully with the right motivations, with a clear mind. So then from next it comes the main subjects about the renunciation. Now up to here he explained, those 3 principal aspects of the path. And so now it comes to a more detailed explanation on each of them. First with renunciations, and then second with awakening mind of the bodhisattva, and thirdly with the wisdom. And first he starts with the renunciations, and within the renunciations he starts explaining from 3 points of view. First, why do we need to have renunciations? Why? Why is it important to cultivate a renunciation mind? Why it is important? Why we need to have developed that renunciation mind. And then secondly, how to develop that renunciation mind. How can we develop that renounced mind or that renunciations? And thirdly, measurement of having developed that realization. How do we know I have developed renunciations? How do I know I have renounced mind? How do I know I have that realization mind? How can we check it? What is the measure of that? So he explained from three points. And he do that with all 3. Also he explained then same with the awakening mind bodhisattva. Why do we need to develop the bodhisattva mind? How to develop the bodhisattva mind? And how do we know we have developed the bodhisattva mind? The measurements. And same with the wisdom. Why do we need to develop the wisdom? How to develop the wisdom? And how do we know that we have developed that wisdom? So each of those 3, with those 3 main points that he tried to explain. Okay? And so first coming to the renunciations, then explaining why we need to develop the renunciations. Without a complete intentions, definitely to live cyclic existence. So, cyclic existence. What is cyclic existence? In Sanskrit is samsara, in Tibetan is korva. In English it has translated as cyclic existence. Cyclic existence is our aggregate, that continue to come again and again like cycles, coming into existence like a cycle again and again due to the contaminated karma and the delusions. That is called the cyclic existence, samsara. As long as you have such aggregate that is driven by the contaminated karma and the delusions, endlessly again and again like the cycles, then that is the cyclic existence, And complete intention definitely to live cyclic existence means turning away your mind from such samsara cyclic existence and the experience of cyclic existence. Turning away your mind from that, or in other words, completely, here, complete intention, definitely to live, to free away from that, to turn away from that. Without that, there's no way to stop seeking pleasurable effect in the ocean of existence, samsara. So saying, without the renunciations, without the mind that turn away from the samsara or cyclic existence, then then you cannot stop. Seeking pleasure means seeking samsaric ordinary pleasure and experience. You cannot stop that. So we get very attached to, without the renunciations to the samsara, then we get very much attached to the samsara experiences, samsara pleasures, and we cannot stop that. Are we clear? Yeah, if we don't have renunciations, if we don't have pure renunciation, true renunciation, the mind that turns away from the samsara or cyclic existence, then we are unable to stop the attachment, clinging, grasping, craving to the samsaric pleasure, samsaric experience, the ordinary samsaric pleasure and experiences. Also craving cyclic existence through bent and embodied. And through such craving or attachments, then we are tied up in the samsara and never be free from the samsara and samsaric sufferings. Therefore, in the beginning, intention to live cyclic existence, the renunciations, should be sought, should be cultivated and developed. So, it is example. If you don't have the wish to free from the prison, if you don't see the prison as something unwanted, undesirable, something unwanted, undesirable, something painful, if you don't see that, and if you don't have a wish to free from that, you wouldn't put effort to get free from that. If you don't have that wish to free from that, and if you don't put effort to free from that, you will not be free from that. Do you get it? So once you understand, as long as you are present, is something undesirable, something unwanted, something nature of sufferings. You understand that, and you have the wish to get out of that. Once you have the wish to get out of that, then you make effort how to get out of it. So you try to find all different ways how you can get out of it as soon as possible, as quick as possible. Then you will find all the way, you will try to do that. In the same way, you have to understand the samsara is like prison. Samsara is prison. The nature of samsara is sufferings, undesirable, unwanted, painful. As long as we are in samsara, we are never free from problem and suffering permanently. Sometimes we might have a little bit of, kind of temporary relief, just like someone on the bail from the prison. And then again they have to go in the prison. Similarly, sometimes we feel all right in our life. Life seems so great. Everything seems until something comes, and then again changes, and again feel like life is challenging, life is difficult, life is not easy, life is too much hardship. so much pain, sufferings. We understand that. We go through that, and we understand for a certain period of time, and then again things start to improve. Then again we start to know, oh, life is so great. Life is not a problem. Life is not painful. Why does Buddhism says, some suffering? I don't understand it. Suddenly again something happens, and again changes. We have gone through that all through our life. Again and again. When things are going well in our life, when things seems fine, everything's just fine, it is just like that we are being on the bail from the prison. We are not free from the prison. We are just on the bail at the moment. So therefore, so you have to understand, as long as we're in samsara, as long as our life is driven by the contaminated karma and delusions, there's no real freedom from the prison of the samsara. Even when things seem going well in our life, it's just like being on the bail, out on the bail, but we are not free. And so when you have that understanding, then you develop a strong wish, not just to have the bail, but to how to free from prison itself completely. That you don't have to go back again in the prisons. So not only being on the bail, but how can I free myself completely from the prisons? And once you have that wish to free from that prisons, then you make the effort to free from that. Then you make the effort to how to free from the samsara. How to free samsara. And when you put effort to free from samsara, then you will find a way to free from the samsara. And therefore, that is where you need renunciation at the very beginning. Here, that is why you need to develop renunciations. And again, as I mentioned at the very beginning, renunciation here again, meaning, giving up attachment, clinging, grasping to anything, especially, material wealth, reputation, fame, praise, people liking you, all of that. If you have a attachment for people liking you, then if people doesn't like you, you feel very hurt, sad, disappointed, unhappy. Why people doesn't like me? Why people are so unkind to me? They like others, why don't they like me? Your mind gets disturbed. Because you are attached to it. If you are not attached to it, if people like it, that's wonderful. If people like it, it's okay. Some people like you, some people doesn't like you, it's okay. It's just normal. That's how sentient beings are. You don't take it too personal. Do you get it? You don't take it too personal and get hurt by that because someone didn't like me. It's not possible for everyone to like anyone. It's not possible. Not everyone like Jesus. Not everyone like Buddha. Not everyone like Dalai Lama. So who are we to expect everyone to like us? It's very unrealistic. And so that is the thing. And when we are attached to that, people liking you, and when you find someone doesn't like you, or when you feel someone might not like you, you are hurt. You are hurt. Disturb your mind, peaceful mind. Why he doesn't like me? Why he or she doesn't like me? Why does he or she dislike me? Your mind get disturbed, unhappy, miserable, because we are attached to that. Same, when we're attached to material things, material wealth, same thing. If we cannot make more wealth, maybe you want to make this much, that much, you want to have this and that, all of that. And when we cannot get those, then we get disappointed, unhappy. We get disappointed, unhappy. I wanted to have this and that. I couldn't accomplish this and that. I couldn't get this and that. And sometimes we doubt ourselves, our ability. Sometimes we blame others for not being able to accomplish what we want to achieve, what we want to accomplish, what we want to get. Either we blame others and get upset and angry, or whether we doubt ourselves, our ability and thinking, and lose self-confidence. In either way, it disturbs our mind. Either way, it disturbs our mind, make our mind unhappy. Make our mind miserable. And that is because we're attached to those material wealth. Because we desperately want them. Because we're so attached, we desperately want them. And then that when it is not done, then that is how it leads to that kind of state of mind. If you are not attached to that, you make effort. If you get it, it's wonderful. If you don't get it, you say, okay, I tried, and it is. You can just let it go and accept what it is, without being too self-critical and harsh on yourself and self-doubting, or doubting your self-confidence, or without blaming others. But just, it's not meant to be happen. It's just like it. It's not meant to happen. So your mind doesn't get so unhappy and disturb that. Same with the reputations, fame, joy, pleasure, happiness. If you are so attached to happiness, pleasure, some days you don't feel happy. We are ordinary beings. Some days you wake up feeling very happy. Sometimes you don't even know why you are so happy today. Some days you wake up being very unhappy, and you don't know why. Sometimes you know why. Sometimes you don't even know why you are feeling so unhappy and kind of almost depressed, or some sad or not joyful. That's part of our life. That's part of samsaric life. Some days we experience happiness, some days we experience sadness, pain, and all of that as ordinary samsaric beings. So if you are not attached to that, the experience of joyfulness, happiness, then even it doesn't, sometimes when you don't have, again, you don't become more miserable, more unhappy because you didn't have that, and because you wanted to have that. Even with meditation, sometimes I hear people, because you have good experience, joyful experience, and you want to repeat, you are attached to that, and you want to repeat that experience. And when you do meditation, you cannot repeat that experience, and you feel very disappointed, unhappy, because you are so desperately wanted to that. And that kind of disappointment, that kind of unhappy mind, wisdom will come because we are attached to that. So therefore, giving up attachment, clinging and grasping to all of them is the renunciation, and the renunciation is the source of true inner peace and happiness. You know, when you have that true renounced mind or renunciations, then you know, no matter what changes it happen, you can adapt easily. When you don't have that, then when change happen, our mind cannot adapt to the new changes, and we get very influenced by those conditions, by those changes, influenced by those changes, and therefore our mind become up and down all the time. You know, our experience become up and down, our life become up and down so easily, fluctuating so easily. And that is because of such attachments. So I think maybe today I will stop here. If there is any questions, I can take one or two questions. Anyone has any comments, questions? Yes, please, Anne.
So, you said that Buddha is pleased if we don't have any attachments when we find peace. Isn't that an attachment? No.
Not necessarily. You can be pleased without of attachment, and you can be pleased without being attachments. You know,
Okay.
it's same being pleased with your own experience. Sometimes it's out of attachment. Sometimes being pleasing is not necessarily doesn't mean attachments.
Okay.
Being pleased with someone who is helping someone is not necessarily attachment. When you see someone being kind, compassionate, taking care of another vulnerable ones, or their pet, or their parent, or their children, it gives you joy, happiness, and pleased to see someone being kind, compassionate. It gives you joy and happiness to see someone being generous and that. So it doesn't always mean that is attachments.
I know I'm picking at small things, but like you say, give up all attachments. And I'm attached to having a house, having things to wear, having food. Are those all attachments I should give up?
One can have the wish to have basic necessities, as you say, shelters, food, health, and all of that. It doesn't mean it has to be attachment. But attachment is when you have strong clinging, grasping to that. Then it doesn't serve, you know. And that becomes the problems, you know. For example, someone can take care of their health without being attached to it. Or someone can be very attached to that and then taking care of it. Someone can work hard to make a living, to have the food, shelter, and all of that without attachment or with the attachment. So as long as you have the attachment, it only brings you more sufferings. For example, you know, there might be two persons, one with attachment, strong attachment, one without attachment, both of them trying to survive, both of them trying to have clothing, basic needs, or even more than basic needs, maybe, let's say, you know. But the one with so attachments, when they cannot get what they want to get, even though they both struggles to get what they want to get, let's say, to have their own house, to buy their own house, let's say, two of them working very hard to own their own house, let's say, and they both are struggling to be able to do that.
Yes.
The one with attachments will suffer more. The one without attachments suffer less, mentally, emotionally.
it's pretty tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, attachment is not easy to give up, but still is something that we need to give up if we want to find more inner peace. If we don't give up, we suffer more. If we don't want to suffer more, then we have to give up. Even though it's difficult. It's someone like who has problem with smoking or drinking and is having a health issue with them because of that. And it might be very difficult for them to give up because of strong addictions. And they might be very difficult to give up, but they have to give up to protect themselves, to protect their own health. Same things. It's not easy for them to give up.
No.
But if they don't give up, they will destroy their health and their life because the effect is already started because they are having some health issues due to that, too much smoking or too much drinking, whatever that is. And so doctors say either you have to stop it or you could have all this complication and die quickly in such and such. So no matter how difficult it is, they have to try to give up if they don't want to suffer with their health and such that. Same with us, with attachments. No matter how difficult it is, we have to try, put the effort to, even we cannot give up completely, to reduce them. When you are able to reduce them, your pain is less. When you have more intense attachment, the pain is much more stronger. So from having too many attachments to less attachments, that is one way of doing it. From having a strong intense attachment to more, there is still attachment but not so intense. So that's the way we start, even though we cannot give up completely everything, all the attachment completely, but that's the way we start, And that is one of the reasons why in almost the spiritual path suggest or recommend to live a simple life is to have less attachments. Less object, less attachments. More object, more attachments. And by trying to live more simple life and with a less object, there's less worry, less fear, and less pain. Of course, they still have some attachment, as you said, for the basic. But just reducing objects had already reduced certain level of attachment. By reducing that, it has already reduced a lot of fear and worry about many other objects. That already make your mind more calm, peaceful, with less worry and less fear, even though you still have some fear and worry about some other things. And so that is where we start, Yeah. Okay. So we do the dedication then.
We'll start with our prayer list. We dedicate the merit created from listening to this teaching to all beings everywhere on every prayer list. We specifically dedicate for those experiencing obstacles: Jana, Deborah, W., Bubby, Kurt, Paula, Donald and Julie, and Claiborne. For those experiencing illness, specifically John B., Jim B., Yeshi the dog, Lisa Pacheco, Ted and Jen, Barb, Joe C., Kelly F., Greg J., Patty Bill, Stella, Rolf, Dorcas, Jane, Nicole, Rita F., Mike F., and Lyra. And those who are dying or who have died in the last 49 days, Jeanette A., Melissa Saiz, Mice, the Snail, Robert, Patty Ann, Carol, Nicole's dad, Beverly, Billet, and Robert Cuneo. And we'll do our dedication prayers in the booklet. Once in English. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow. May that which has arisen not diminish, but increase more and more. On the next page, we have the long life prayers for our teachers, beginning with His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Okay.
The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. And then the prayer for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pranayaka Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of the infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice. You wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable venerable Guru, to you I make request, while striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels, and the great waves of bodhicitta of children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. And then for Osohita Lama Yeshe's reincarnation, Venerable One, to you whose kindness exceeds that of all comforts, for those wanderers in far-off places, especially those, mindful of your loving concern for us, intentionally descending again into a family of a far distant land, we make this request, O Lama, please live long.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Thank you.
Geshe.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.